Hello everyone, and welcome to the second video on word problems for SAT, GMAT and GRE. So in the first video we discussed 7 questions, and we discussed this basic thing that whenever we talk about a word problem question, there are only basic 3 things which you need to do. That is, you need to read the question, you need to assign the variable, you need to form an equation and simply solve for the variable. Okay. So we'll be moving on with the same principle in our mind, and we'll be looking at more questions, more word problems of different type of word problems, okay, which will be including different concepts. So as and when we move on, I'll be teaching you those concepts also. All right, so without wasting our time further, let's start with question number 8. So pause the video and try the question yourself first, then you can play it back in order to understand how to solve this one. All right, go ahead, try this one. All right, let's see what we can do with this one. So the question reads, the number of passengers on a certain bus at any given time is given by the equation A is equal to minus 2.5 B minus 3 square plus 32, where A is the number of passengers and B is the number of stops the bus has made since beginning its route. If the bus begins its route with no passengers, how many passengers will be on the bus one stop before the stop where it has greatest number of passengers? Again, a lot of information. Okay, so we're gonna go line by line, we're gonna go step by step. So I have this equation with me, and it's a quadratic equation for the fact that it has square on it. So let me first write the equation. So I have A is equal to minus 2.5 into B minus 3 square plus 32. What does A and B represent? A represents the number of passengers. So okay, so A is number of passengers. And what is B? B represents the number of stops the bus has made since beginning its route. So what does this equation basically mean? So this equation basically means that when you're going to put B is equal to 1, that is the first stop, then the number of passengers will be given by the equation minus 2.5 into 1 minus 3 square plus 32. So that is minus 2.5 into 4, because minus 2 square is 4. So that will basically be minus of 10 plus 32, which is going to be 22. If it makes 2 stops, then the number of passengers will basically be equal to minus 2.5 into 2 minus 3 whole square plus 32, and so on and so forth. You can do the calculations. This is basically what this equation means. Replace B by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to get number of passengers. Now what's the question? The question is, if the bus begins its route with no passengers, alright, how many passengers will be on the bus one stop before the stop where it has greatest number of passengers? So first of all, I need to figure out the value of B where the value of A is maximum. First of all, I need to figure out the value of B where the value of A is maximum. Now understand this, you don't need to do any calculation. It's a simple logic, which I believe I have taken this while I was explaining you exponents. So I'm gonna explain it to you again. So while we were doing exponents, I told you that whenever you have an expression and you have an even power, whenever you have an expression and you have an even power to that, the result is always greater than or equal to 0. The result is always greater than or equal to 0. Even power, whenever you have an expression and if it has an even power, the result can never be negative. For example, x square is never negative. For example, y minus 1 whole square is never negative. Take any value of y, it doesn't matter. So whenever you have an even power, the result is always 0 or greater than 0. Which means I can say that the expression, that is b minus 3 whole square this will always be greater than or equal to 0. This will always be greater than or equal to 0. Now, I have basically what I have is minus 2.5 into b minus 3 square. Now, since you are multiplying by negative, what's going to happen? The sign of inequality will change. So, minus of 2.5 into b minus 3 square will be always less than or equal to 0. It will always be less than or equal to 0. I told you this in the basics of inequalities, probably in linear inequalities itself, that whenever you multiply both sides by negative, your sign of inequality changes. So minus of 2.5 into b minus 3 whole square is always less than or equal to 0. Now you can add 32 on both the sides. So you're going to have like minus 2.5 into b minus 3 whole square plus 32 is less than or equal to 32. It is less than or equal to 32. So this expression that you have on the left hand side, the minimum value, the maximum value of this expression is 32. The maximum value of this expression is equal to 32. So if the maximum value is 32, and this will be 32 when b minus 3 square will be equal to 0, because the maximum value of minus 2.5 into b minus 3 square is less than or equal to 0. So it will be maximum when b will be equal to 3. So that is at stop number 3, it's going to have maximum number of passengers. At stop number 3, it's going to have maximum number of passengers. Now what's the question? How many passengers will be on the bus? One stop before the stop where it has greatest number of passengers. So one stop before that means when the value of b is 2. So that will be minus 2.5 into 2 minus 3 square plus 32. So that's like minus 2.5 plus 32. So that's like 29.5. So you can round it off, you will get your answer as 30. You will not have 29.5 passengers. Anyways, it's just a question. So in the actual exam, like after doing the calculation, they may say that find the number of passengers on the bus 2 stops after the stop where it has greatest number of passengers. In that case, you'll get an integer value for sure. But I hope the concept is clear. That's more important. That's what you need to understand. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next question. Okay. So pause the video and try this question number 9. All right. So let's see what it's given. Martina earns 1/6 of her annual income during the month of June and 1/8 in August. Pam earns 1/3 of her annual income in June and 1/4 in August. Alright, so let's do one thing. The statement looks pretty simple. So let's do one thing. Let's take Martina's annual income to be X. So I can say that Pam's annual income will simply be equal to Y. Let's take it to be X and Y. Now Martina earns 1/6 of her annual income during the month of June. So I can say that in the month of June, she will be earning 1/6 into X. And in the month of August, she will be earning 1/8 of X. So this is August. Okay. Pam earns 1/3 of her annual income in June. So Pam is earning 1/3 of Y in June and 1/4 in August. All right, so she earns 1/4 in August. And let's add them also. So 1/6x plus 1/8x. You can take LCM, that will come out to be 24. So 6 is 4 times, 8 is 3 times, so it will be 7x by 24. So these two values combined will be 7x by 24. And for PAM, it will be 1 by 3y plus 1 by 4y. So you can take 12 to be the LCM, and that will simply be 7y by 12. So these two combined will be 7y by 12. Martina's earning for June and August equals PAM's earning for the same period. Alright. So 7x by 24 is basically equal to, what they're saying is 7x by 24, or let me remove these calculations that I have enough space. So now what the question says is 7x by 24 is equal to 7y by 12. So from here I'll get x is equal to twice of y. X is equal to twice of y. What portion of their combined annual income do the two girls earn during the 10 months, not including June and August? Alright. So if I calculate, let's calculate individually first. Let's keep things simple for ourselves. If I talk about Martina's income not in June and August, it will simply be x minus 7x by 24. So 24x minus 7x, so 24 minus 7 is 4 gone, 17x by 24. And if I calculate the same thing for PAM, it's going to be x, sorry, not x, y. It's going to be y minus 7y by 12, so that's basically 5y by 12. What portion of their combined annual income, now their combined annual income which they are not earning in the month of June and August, are basically 7x by 24 and 5y by 12. Now in place of x I can put 2y, so this will basically become 34y by 24. Okay, 34y by 24. So if I'm going to add both of them, now this PAM and Martina is not required, I have taken care of all these things. So they are earning a total of 34y by 24 plus 5y by 12 in those 10 months, which excludes June and August. And in total they are earning x plus y, or let's write it in terms of y itself, and I'm gonna get that it will be 3y, because y plus x is y plus 2y, so that's 3y. So let's take LCM in the numerator. I'm gonna get that 34y plus 10y divided by 24 into 3y. So that's 44y divided by 72y. Y and y will get cancelled, and this will become 22 divided by 36. Further it will be 11 divided by 8. So what's the question? What portion of their combined annual income do the two girls earn during the 10 months, not including the June and August? So that's 11 by 18. That is 11 by 18. Just calculation, nothing else, and reading the questions carefully. Nothing else is required. Alright, so pause the video and try this question number 10 first by yourself. Alright, let's see what we can do with this one. At a certain pizzeria, 1/7 of pizzas sold in 1 week were mushroom and 1/6 of the remaining pizzas sold were pepperoni. If n number of pizzas was pepperoni, then how many were mushroom? Alright, fine. So let's do one thing. I do not have the total number of pizzas. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna consider the total number of pizzas to be p. So if that's the case, then I can say that p by 7 are basically mushroom. P by 7 are basically mushroom. That means the leftover pizzas apart from mushroom will be P minus P by 7, which will be 6P by 7. Which will be 6P by 7. Now read the question carefully. Many of you are going to commit mistake here. It says 1/6 of the remaining pizzas. Most of you would take 1/6 of the total and thereby you will be committing mistake. Otherwise the question is pretty simple and straightforward. There is nothing more. It's just 1/6 of remaining pizzas were pepperoni. So you can say that pepperoni will be 1 by 6 into 6P by 7. So that's basically P by 7. And now this is basically equal to N. This is basically equal to N, which means P here is equal to 7N. So this is equal to 7N. How many were mushroom? So mushroom will simply be 7N by 7, which is again equal to N. Which is again equal to N. If you would have done the other way, then what you would have done is, you would have taken 1 by 6 of N is equal to, 1 by 6 of P is equal to N. On from here P would have been 6N, and then your answer would have been 6N divided by 7, and that will definitely be there in the option. You can have my word on this. That will definitely be there in the option. Again, coming to that point that you need to read the question carefully. Okay, that's required. That's utmost. Anyways, let's move on. So pause the video and try this question number 11, please. Okay, so this will be either a Q, it will not be an, either a P, sorry, it will not be an A. Alright, let's see what we can do with this one. So in a certain game, a player can accumulate points only by scoring either a P, which counts 3 points, okay. So P is gonna give you 3 points, or a Q, which is gonna give you 2 points. If a player scored 24 points in the game and T points were made by scoring P's, then how many different value could T have? Then how many different value could T have? Alright, so if he made T points were made by scoring P's, so I can say that T would basically be equal to 3P, right? Because 1P is like 3 points. So you can score a P, 2Ps, 3Ps, and so on and so forth. So I know that 3P plus 2Q is equal to 24. I think we did a question like this in the first video of word problems, where only one linear equation is given and we'll have to find like the solutions to the variables given, right? So let's understand again what we are supposed to do here. We're gonna write P and Q. Now when you talk about P and Q can't be negative. It can be 0 because you're either scoring a P or a Q, right? You can't score a negative Q, that's not possible. Okay, so that's like, for example, if you know cricket, so in cricket you can, if you hit a 6 or you hit a 4, let's suppose if a question says that someone made 100 runs only by using boundaries, so boundaries is counted as a 6 run and a 4 run. So you will either score 6s or 4s. It may also happen that you have scored no 6s. It may also happen that you have scored no 4s. But you can't score negative 4s and negative 6, right? The same way you can't score negative P and negative Q. So I can say if I take the minimum value of P, so I can say minimum value of P will be 0. Now if P is 0, I'm just taking it, okay? I do not know whether this is minimum or no. If P is 0, can I have an integer value of Q? Because Q can't be decimal. Can I have an integer value of Q? So let's see. If P is 0, then 2Q will become 24, and from there I'm gonna get that Q is equal to 12. So if Q is 12, now I know that we have taken the minimum value of P and thereby getting the maximum value of Q, right? So when P is 0, Q is 12. So what I'm gonna do is, now we know that the P is gonna increase and Q is gonna decrease because we took the minimum value for P and the maximum value of Q. Now P will increase in accordance with the coefficient of Q and Q will decrease in accordance with the coefficient of P. So the next value of P will be 2 and that of Q it will be 9. Then the next value of P will be 4 and this will be 6. Then the next value of P will be 6 and Q will be 3. Then the next value of P will be 8 and Q will be 0. You can verify also. Like if I take, let's take any random value, let's take 6 and 3. So 3 into P, that is, 3 into P, that's 3 into 6, which is 18. And 2 into 3, that's 6, or 6 plus 18 is 24. So these are the 5 values of P and Q which we can have. Now what is the question? The question is not asking the values of P and Q. The question is basically asking how many different values that T could have. Now if P can have 5 different values, then T can also have 5 different values. Let's also calculate the values of T. The first value of T will be 3 into 0, that's 0. Second will be 3 into 2, that's 6. Then third is 3 into 4, that's 12. Then 3 into 6, that's 18. And then 3 into 8, that's 24. They could have also asked you find the all possible sum of all possible values of T. In that case, you need to add these numbers. So this is 18 and 12, this will give you 20, and 6 and 24, that's give you 30, so that will be 50. That will be the answer. So anyways, I hope the concept is clear. That's more important. This is how you are supposed to figure out the values of variable in linear equation when only one equation is given and you have two variables. Okay, all right, let's move on. So pause the video and try the question yourself first. All right, so okay, just one more information for SAT students. The question number 11, you don't typically get this type of question. You get a lighter version of this question, okay, in which there is only one value of x and y which is going to satisfy. Okay, something like that. That has come in SAT previously. Only one value, but if you know the concept, then obviously you can do any type of question. All right, let's move on to question number 12. So Joanne, Kyle, Lillian, and Miriam all celebrate their birthday today. Joanne is 2 years younger than Kyle. Okay, Joanne is 2 years younger than Kyle. So I can say that Joanne plus 2 is equal to Kyle. All right. Kyle is 3 years older than Lillian. All right. So L plus 3 is also equal to K. And Miriam is 1 year older than Joanne. All right. So I can say that Joanne plus 1 is also equal to Miriam, which is M. What could be the combined age of all 4 women today if sum of their ages is between 50 and 60? All right. So what I'm going to do in this question is, let's do one thing. Let's take the value of K to be X and let's calculate value of remaining 3 in terms of X only. Okay, so that it becomes easier for me. So if I take K to be X, then I can say J will become X minus 2 and L will become X minus 3 and if j is x minus 2, then x minus 2 plus 1 is equal to m, or you can say m will be x minus 1. So I have values of, or the ages of all four of them in terms of x. Now if I'm gonna add all four of them, it's going to be x plus x minus 2 plus x minus 3 plus x minus 1, which is equal to 4x minus 6, which is equal to 4x minus 6. Now sum of their ages is between 50 and 60. What could be these combined ages of all four women today? Okay, so I just need to plug in some value y here, which is of course between 50 and 60, that is basically 51, 52, 53 and so on and so forth up to 59. I need to pick some value, and then I can rewrite that 4x will be equal to y plus 6 and x should be equal to y plus 6 divided by 4, and x should be an integer value because they have their birthdays today, and x basically represents the age of Kyle, so x has to be an integer value. Okay, now how do you, now you can't start putting values 51, 52, so you have to shortlist some numbers. Now if I use our logic, if I use my logic, then I know that 6 is even, right? 6 is even, and I'm dividing by 4, which is also an even, which means y has to be even, because if y is odd, then odd plus even will give me odd. That's not a possibility. Y has to be even. So what all values I have? I have 52, I have 54, I have 56, and I have 58. These are the only possible values. I don't have anything else. I can't use 51, 53, 55, 57, 59. It's not possible. So let's start with 52. I can choose four values. That's not too much of calculation. So 52 plus 6 by 4, which is basically 58 by 4, and that's not divisible because I know that 60 is divisible by 4. So a number 4 less than 60 and 4 more than 60 will be divisible by 4, but 2 less than 60 will not be divisible by 4, so 52 is out. Similarly, when you're going to plug in 54, 54 plus 6 is 60. So 60 by 4 is going to give you x as 15. So that's a valid answer. No problem with that. If I'm going to take 56, so 56 plus 6 is 62. So that's also not applicable. And if I'm going to take 58, 58 is 4 more than 54. So it will be divisible. So this is also divisible. Now if this question comes in SAT, which it can, so you can like grade in any of the two values. You can either write 54 or 58, your answer is correct. If it comes in GRE, either it can come in a multiple choice question. You can have numbers like 52, 54, 53, 50, 56, 58. In that case, you'll have to mark both of them. If it comes in GMAT, so probably they're gonna miss out on one of the values. They'll give you only one of the options. Or probably they will say that, okay, it's from 50 to 57 only. Okay, so that's again a possibility. Or if it comes in data sufficiency, then they can say that the sum of their ages is greater than 55, and they can give you option B as sum of their ages is less than 55. So greater than 55, you again have only one value. Less than 55, you again have only one value. So question can be formed in multiple ways. The point is you need to get hold of the concept. That's more important. All right. Okay, let's move on. So try this question number 13. So pause the video and try this question yourself, please. All right, let's see what we can do with this one. So a loaf of bread is a loaf of bread and 2 1-pound container of butter, okay, cost a total of $4.95. Okay, so I have a loaf of bread, so I'll say one bread plus 2 pounds of butter, I'll take that as 2 butter, that is equal to $4.95. If a pound of butter cost 0.90 more than a loaf of bread, so I can say that 1 butter is equal to 0.90 plus 1 bread. And let's take bread to be x now, so, and butter to be y, so that it's easier. So y is equal to 0.90 plus x, and my first equation is x plus 2y is equal to 4.95. How much does a pound of butter cost? So very simple question. So in place of y you can put x, in place of y you can put 0.90 plus x. So it's going to be x plus 2 into 0.90 plus x is equal to 4.95. X plus 1.8 plus 2x is 4.95. 3x is equal to 4.95, 1.80, so 5, 3.15. So x is 1.05. So what's x? I think we took x to be bread. Okay, so we don't have to find bread, we need to find y. So y will be 0.90 plus 1.05, and that will simply be equal to $1.95, and that's your final answer. Simple question. You do get simple questions also. All right, so let's keep it till here for this video. So I hope you have enjoyed the video, you have understand something new in this chapter, that is word problems, sorry. I'll be making one more video on this because I'm still left with like a couple of more questions, so that you can practice more. The more you practice, the more better you become. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. If you have any comments, if you have any suggestions, please do let me know in the comment box, or otherwise you can personally text me also, my number is there. And please do like the video, please share the video with your friends so that it can help others also. And if you're looking for personalized classes and individual classes for SAT, GMAT and GRE, you can anytime contact us, or you can drop in a WhatsApp message, and we can start with a demo class so that you understand how exactly we're going to take this up forward and how comfortable would you be. So that will be all for this video, guys. Thank you so much. Keep watching and keep learning. Thank you so much.